And we are live. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode number 81 of Ragin with. Tonight we have special guest John Celestri sitting with Daphne and I. So sit tight. We're going to throw an intro and we'll be right back.
Ragin.
And welcome back. Let me drop this card.
All right. Hello, everybody. Yes. Welcome to another episode of Ragin with. And it's Ragin with Daphne and Nita. And before we get started with our very special guest, I guess intros all around. So, hi everyone. My name is Daphne Lage, and I am a cartoonist, illustrator, and comic book artist from New York. I have been self-publishing comics since 1992, and I am known for the funny animal fantasy adventure Tall Tales and my medieval fantasy soap opera drama, because that's a mouthful, Eagle Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn. You can read both my comics online at Tall Tales, TAILS online.com, and eagleworks.com, EGOWORKS.com. And you can check out all my videos on how I make my comics on YouTube at Daphne Lage, Lage art. And I'm joined today with my co-host and producer, Nita. Say hi to everybody.
Hello, my name is Nita Lanning. I am a writer, vlogger, blogger, poet from Southeast Louisiana. And I'm just here to be nerdy tonight.
Yeah, so she's going to be running the board today. Well, she's always running the board because, like I said, she's the producer. So if you have any comments or any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. And especially if you're on YouTube, and if you're nice enough to her, Nita might actually put the your comment up and all that fun stuff. So like I said, today we have a guest that we could spend hours talking to, but unfortunately we only have the 1 hour
So
to
shall I
talk
bring
to.
him in?
So hold on. I said, hold on. I have something special. Yes. So
Whoa, right on.
like I said, it's like we could speak for hours, but we only have the one, so we're going to try to make the most of it. But I figure this man definitely needed a proper intro.
Oh, that's
so, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, now join me, Mylar, in welcoming tonight's last act.
And ladies and gentlemen, John Celestri.
That's great. Thank you. I've never been introduced by Mylar or by myself.
Well, exactly. It had to happen. It's like when they said that you were scheduled for the show, it was the first thing that popped into my mind. It's like, I have to do this. So, John, a man of many talents and of many nostalgia memory trips. Why don't you go ahead and give everybody the long and the short of it?
Okay. I've been around for a long time. I've been animating. I've been in the animation and comic book as a profession since about 1975. Worked on Dragon's Lair, Space Ace, Rock and Rule, He-Man and She-Ra, and animated the first appearance and performance of Boba Fett in the Star Wars Holiday Special. I've done Batman commercials. I've created my own comic books and produced, written and co-authored crime fiction novels and self-published with my wife back in the 90s. So I've done a whole lot of stuff. Tried to break into the comic book industry. I really enjoy doing it now. I can take everything that I've learned and I'm putting it all into my work that I've been doing today.
I mean, it really is amazing thank you, Stone. It really is amazing. You know, it's like when I met you for the first time to realize it's like, holy crap, you're not just an animator. You're literally a major part of a lot of people's childhoods.
Right? And last night, I was like, holy shit.
You know, I mean, it's like, especially, you know, like She-Ra meant a lot, and, you know, Rock and Rule especially was one of those. And yeah, and it's like, and you were just telling us a story about how the holiday special, the Star Wars holiday special, was you know, it's like you made Boba Fett canon before the movies did.
Yes.
You know?
Right.
You know, so I mean, it's like, yeah, like I said, there's so much that we could talk about, but you know what? It's like, let's try to like, so speaking of Boba Fett,
okay,
right? So we have the book of Boba Fett out, and now it's like, it seems like we're beginning to see more of the holiday special pop up.
Okay.
And how is like, it's like, so knowing that whenever that comes up, knowing that that's yours, I mean, how are you feeling about this right now? How are you feeling about this Boba Fett explosion happening right now?
Well, I find it really interesting that the more you try to dig into the character, the less he becomes. And that is, you know, it's less is more.
Right, yeah.
And people don't seem to understand that. That's old vaudeville. You know, you to keep mystery, you can't peel the things around. Let's put it this way: when I saw that, when I knew that they were going to do the Book of Fett, I thought, oh, geez, you know, I hope they don't screw it. Well, and because basically that's what it is. I mean, Boba Fett was mysterious, so that's fine. You know, keep him a mystery. And if you're going to do something, make him mysterious even with the mask off. You know, the Shadow was mysterious. The old Shadow was mysterious because you didn't know Lamont Cranston. Lamont Cranston was not really Lamont Cranston. He was somebody else. He was someone else playing the role of Lamont Cranston. So there was always a mystery going on. Now with Boba Fett, he had maybe 15 lines of dialogue. I mean, we spent more time with body language, you know, throwing the gun, his pitchfork rifle in the air, slapping the beast, you know, doing all those things that back then you didn't do, you know. And so the fact of the matter is that the character needs to be mysterious, and if you make him too soft, he loses it, because he is supposed to be vicious. You can't be vicious and have a soft heart.
Yeah, that seems to be what I keep it. But then again, that's kind of like my personal opinion about it too. It's like, by killing the mystery, you know, they're kind of like stripping the character of something. So you worked a lot with Nelvana, and there was like a lot of really, really strange cartoons coming out of Canada at the time. And, you know, and the thing is, you know, you worked with the Filmation and all these. So which one of these, like, I guess the projects that you worked on are the ones that you think of the most fondly, the one that you like, that you kind of like think of the most, like, yeah, I had a really good time on that?
I would say in various degrees, it was the period of time between 1977 until 1983 or 82-ish, when Nelvana was really the rock and roll studio. We were up in Toronto. It was very few of us. We were all very young at the time. And in fact, when I got up there, I was there because I had more experience than anybody else in Canada for doing feature films, because I already worked on 2 feature films, when I was like 25 and to 26 years old. It was Ragin, Tubby the Tuba and Raggedy Ann and Andy.
Oh my gosh.
Tubby the Tuba was a New York Tech, and that's where computer animation got started. Edwin Catmull and somebody else, and when they were playing with creating Photoshop, and where they were creating what became Industrial Light and Magic, which became
Lucas. Well, yeah.
all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I was learning from the old Popeye and Mighty Mouse animators, from the Fleischers and Paramount and Terrytoon group, because as I said, there were but when I got into the business, there hadn't been new blood for 20 years. So I learned on the job with them. So I came with that information, and then also learning, working with under the directorial, guidance of Richard Williams for Raggedy Ann and Andy. So, and he went on to he was doing then Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So just to see what this whole thing is. So I learned a lot from those old animators, who were classic animators, and Disney animators also on Raggedy Ann and Andy. So I came into Canada with that. And so they were trying to do stuff that they hadn't done before. So we were doing all of these rock and roll, all musicals, for half hours, in A Cosmic Christmas, Devil and Daniel Mouse, what was it? Romeo and Juliet, Please Don't Eat the Planet, or the Intergalactic Thanksgiving, and Easter Fever. Throughout that, I was working, with John Sebastian of the Loving Spoonfuls, who was doing our sound music. Who are doing all of the music for those shows. So I got to work with him. I got to work with just doing classical pieces, doing a lot of music, a lot of acting. And then there was working on Rock and Roll. And that was Earth, Wind and Fire, Cheap Trick, Iggy Pop, Lou Reed, and Deborah Harry. So that's the Rock and Roll. That period of time was great, because we weren't being looked over and said, you can't do that. We did the best we could, but it was almost like starting an industry from scratch, because it was pre Roger Rabbit. It was pre animation, you can make money. It was, we have to do stuff, and so let's do it. And they had the contract with CBS, Viacom. They were being syndicated, those half-hour specials. It was holiday specials that we did. So we did Christmas, Halloween. We did Valentine's Day. We did Easter and Thanksgiving. Those were the 5 that I worked on. We did one more for baseball, and that was Rick Danko of the band doing the music for that one.
Oh, I think I remember. Yeah, it's like they all just, like I said, they were all just very strange.
Well, the strangeness is that we weren't doing Disney.
Yeah.
We were all coming in with stuff that was. You got to remember, Canada had a heavy influence from British and European animation and French, especially with Montreal.
Yeah.
So it was, I was bringing the Hollywood stuff in, or rather the New York stuff, because I learned from Popeye animators and Terry Tooth, and there's a grittiness to that. And so they're coming in with a grittiness of their own. So that's what you saw, is there was an energy that only people who don't know they're not supposed to do that will do.
I mean, is that so? So when you find yourself traveling through the rest of the animation industry, is that kind of what you were experiencing? Like, the more you came into the United States, the more restrictions you were being put under?
Well, what it is that you couldn't they were always trying to here in the States, they were trying to I've got one for you, Joe. Yes, I do have a holy grail that
That's a good question.
I will answer that one. The feature that was never done. Actually, they were always trying to recapture Disney. Okay, when I came in, when I left at Nelvana because there was nothing there. I was doing directing animation on Strawberry Shortcake or Herself the Elf, and I was thinking, and I was not going to work on Inspector Gadget. They were doing that up there, but I went on to work on Dragon's Lair and Space Ace because that was different.
Right.
That's what I wanted. I didn't want to do the same stuff. Now, I came on and did She-Ra and He-Man, and I did as good a job as we could, and it was something that was necessary because it hadn't been done before. It was the first time that a syndicated, it was the first time that a 5-day-a-week series of brand new shows, 5 days a week for 13 weeks was ever done.
Wow.
And also Filmation kept everything in-house. And so nothing was sent overseas. So the work was there, and that was the great thing about Filmation at that time. In fact, that was the best place I ever worked at in terms of getting respect.
Oh.
And being treated well. It was a union place, but we were treated well.
Why, was everyone at Nelvana just too high or something?
No, I think the problem is that sometimes I don't want to get into things. But all I say is that in retrospect, the energy that you get from youth, doesn't parlay. As you get older, you need a little. You can't do the same. You can't expend the same amount of energy. The studio at Nelvana that I worked at and what we started was a working fish house.
Ooh.
It was the you go online and you'll see on my Facebook page, you'll see the shot of a bunch of us at Nelvana in front of a warehouse. It's cold. It's December, and
wow,
it's like 79, and you see the open doors for the warehouse, and a whole bunch of us there and huddled around. We are literally 10 feet away from Lake Ontario.
So in terms of respect, it's like you're also talking about like working conditions.
Yes.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Oh, it was like being at the Gulag, I mean, at the frozen tundra. I mean, to get to the second floor at that time, you had to walk through barrels of feta cheese, olives, and fish.
My God! Oh, what? Oh my God!
I paid my dues.
I can almost smell the place.
Yes. Okay. Let me. Okay. So let's wrap it up.
Let's go back to the question about in with all these animation companies, was there a project that like a Holy Grail project?
Yes. The Holy Grail project was that I would have been working because I met with the directors and whatnot, Brad Bird and Jerry Reese, and they were going to do an animated version of The Spirit.
Now, Brad Bird as an Iron Giant Brad
Yes.
Bird. Right.
Iron Giant and in the Invincibles.
Right. Mm-hmm.
The Brave Little Toaster, Jerry Reese. So yes, that's that Brad Bird, and so I was going to because I just came off of Rock and Rule. I had my material and I showed them the stuff. I did a special scene myself for flipping of The Spirit, and for attitude and action and whatnot. And so I went and met with them in San Mateo and at their place, and I showed them the reels and whatnot, and they just said, okay, if they could get this going, I would have been animating one of the senior animators on The Spirit.
And that project didn't happen. Just
it never did.
Huh?
It never. Everybody wanted it.
Right.
But but the money people said animation doesn't make any money.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So it was because it was that period.
It was that period. Yeah. 1980. It's 1983.
Right.
And so from there, within a month or two after, meeting with them, I was kind of waiting for stuff and whatnot. But then I contacted, Booth, and I got hired on to do work on the laser games.
Right. Yeah. Which I think was like the first 50-cent arcade game. It was considered incredibly expensive.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was a quarter, I guess.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what they did because it was a dime, and I don't know. All I know is how to animate it,
right?
And I know how you choreograph things like that. But you just have to know where to put your, what the tells were. You can jump over things and what to use.
Yeah. So. From when you started to when, so when did you retire from animation?
Well, in terms of as a profession,
right?
I didn't retire. Got kicked out.
Oh, okay.
I got literally because I was too old. Because computers came over and 2D animation drawing, it was not needed.
Wow. Okay. That's
struggling to bring it back because nobody knows how to draw anymore.
Yeah, I know, right?
We talk about 2001, 2002.
Right. So with that, because my next question after that is like, so in your entire animation career, like what was the biggest change? Like what was the biggest difference from when you started to when you were forcibly retired?
The age of the producers, because they look the biggest change was that I looked up as a young person. I looked up to the people who knew how to do things. When I got to that age, the people younger than me weren't looking up to me at all. They didn't care.
So who were they looking at?
Themselves.
Really?
Yeah, that's when the circle jerk started, and that's when every animation went downhill. And
wow,
there you go, Nita. You know that.
Yeah,
that's it. Because I was hitting my stride when I was still basically what was I? I was at 50, 51, 52.
That's not old. That's not old, people.
No. And so I had by that. When you to make an animator in the classic sense, you need 10 years. The first 5 years, you're learning the basics and understanding the tools. The next 5 years, you're starting to develop your own style. So in 10 years, your 10th year, you're starting to really to kick in, okay? And then that's what happens. So when I was doing rock and rule, I had just hit my 5th year. So I was doing quad hole Cindy and Mylar in my 5th year of being a professional. By the time I was doing the, there are a bunch of Batman commercials that I did. I was doing that in my 10th year, of being animated, and I did those on 8.5 by 11 paper, and I faxed that to Canada.
That's faxing. It's
What is that?
Explain faxing.
Yeah, what is that?
But so from animation, you decided you wanted to move into comics.
Right.
Hold on. Let me.
There you go.
Yeah, it's like the cats all want the pillows right now. So
it's hot. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Rhymes.
Yeah. So did you find that it was like similar enough for you to move into comics, or was it kind of like a learning curve to get into comics?
I had been doing it for all my life anyway, because I wanted to get into comics right from the word go. The first thing I wanted to be was a comic book artist. Back when I was 7, 8 years old. So I wanted to do that kind of stuff. I did my superhero rip-offs and things of that. I did many years. I would, put together samples to do for a newspaper syndication panel or a strip. So I learned inking and things of that way, just using, brushes and pens and bristlebored, yeah, I see what's going on back there.
So I know they have no respect for the live stream schedule.
No, you can't. No. So I learned writing. So I learned lettering because my dad was a draftsman. He worked on the Nautilus. He was like one of those, plans and whatnot. So the first thing I drew with was just, the stuff that he brought home with, pens and things of that sort. So I was familiar enough with that. I had my own table, little board, put paper on there and draw and, ink and whatnot. So I had been developed all of that all the way through. So that's, writing and drawing and working comic strips, I did storyboards and I did all kinds of stuff after the period of time when I couldn't do anything. They didn't want my 2D animation.
Right.
So I would work storyboards, which is storytelling. I would do, I had already published several, 5 crime fiction novels with my wife, Kathy. And so I had already developed an ability to write and put together a large story, 300-page, 90,000 word story, developing those, elements, those muscles to be able to produce my own work.
Right.
It wasn't like I was suddenly away, in new territory. I was just shifting. I was just taking everything I knew and pouring it into that.
Now here's a question that we keep hearing in general. So is drawing comics the same thing as drawing storyboards?
Only in that you have to tell the story pictorially. You have to understand camera angles. It is not the same as how you compose a page. Your panels tell a story within, a certain space, okay? And you have sequential art that way. But if you look at everything I'm doing, if you look at all the comic books I've kickstarted, you can lift those things up and use them as storyboard panels, but within the page, they still maintain the integrity of a page as a visual thing to understand. You know, and there is a pleasing element about that, and that's what you need to know is eye direction. You have to know, you know, where are you laying, and that's basic layout. You know, how in what direction do you want the eyes to go, from here to here to here to here to here, and you have to know what is Western back and forth versus manga back and forth.
Yeah.
So there's that.
So on that note, we just hit the half-hour mark. So before we start talking specifically about your comic book work, I just want to introduce everybody to what I saw as baby Daphne, trolling HBO late at night.
I know the scene.
And all of a sudden, coming across this and having my life changed forever. And then we're going to do a bump.
Okay.
But this might be a different kind of bump along with it.
Okay.
And then I saw this.
Whoa! Cinderella knows what you're talking about. Sometimes those brothers of mine really burn my buns, too. They keep this place locked up tighter than a hummingbird's tweet. By the way, doll, who are you? Mock's new lady friend?
And I was changed forever.
Now that's a high point for me.
So let's give some friends some love before we get too distracted.
All right, you guys, check out Sam and George at Catch the Craze.
It's Monty Moore. I'm a 30-year comics veteran in comics, games, and movies, and you've been watching one of my absolute favorite podcasts, Catch the Craze.
You are watching Catch the Craze.
What am I listening to?
And you're listening to Catch the Craze.
Where are all the indies at?
A Catch the Craze podcast. What are you watching?
I'm watching Catch the Craze.
What are you going to do?
Subscribe now to Catch the Craze, the #1 show online for independent.
Have you subscribed to?
You are an independent. Catch the Craze! Making moves on your own. Catch the Craze! On your grind in the streets. Catch the Craze! Join the movement. Catch the Craze!
Okay. So if you're not familiar with John's work, now you are. So now we're in your comic book phase.
Yes. Yeah.
And I have to admit that, the word passion project gets bandied around a lot. It's like, but I do have to admit that when you say that this is your passion project, I believe it. So why don't you tell us about, is there a video that, Yeah, okay, so why don't we watch the video, and then you can tell us all about the Bloodwing Angel Chronicles.
Okay. Yeah.
Bloodwing Angel Chronicles. The adventures of Mychal, an innocent angel who is unjustly banished to the mortal realm and battles to survive amongst demons, sinners, and living dead.
So tell us about Bloodwing Angel. What is Bloodwing Angel?
Bloodwing Angel is, as I said before, are we going to get some feedback on here? I think.
Let's see. Anita, are you hearing an echo?
Okay. That's fine. I'm good. Am I good? Okay. All right.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Basically, it's a story about an innocent who has been betrayed by the gods, and how this innocent has to survive, and then takes in many ways, as the series goes on, it gets the upper hand between the two. Now, because you've got, basically, I took what was going on in my own life at the time when I wrote this as a novella that I published on Amazon, and as an ebook, and I took, basically, I said, I've done everything right. I said, and here I am. It is a really dark period for me. It was at the low end. And so I wrote this thing about an angel who is being messed with as being a pawn between the forces of good and evil. In the same way the book of Job is that way. Is that a righteous person who's done nothing wrong is beset upon. And how does that person survive? Well, I took a basic element of that, but now it's Mychal, who is the smallest, most innocent angel in creation. The youngest is a Bloodwing Angel, because the tips of the wings go in blood wing, blood color blood. It would have turned into white one way or the other as it develops. But anyway, I have a whole little legend that is, that's too complicated to go into right now, but it's in the book. The front page, you can read that. But anyway, so Mychal is plucked and chosen between the two. They said, okay, this is our pawn. They throw Mychal, through the universe, out of safety, and be in the act of that happening, being thrown through the universe into the stars. The universe, the fabric is ripped, is shredded, is ripped apart, and momentarily, and then comes back together, but not the way it was before, because a promise was broken. It was broken by the person, the God who's supposed to be all good and wouldn't do anything to harm you as long as you believe, as you obeyed him. So this is what the premise is. Mychal lands, becomes a semi-mortal, is birthed as to both male and female. So you have both essences, because angels are neither male nor females, but when they become a physical a being of some sort, they have all the attributes of both. I mean, there are no male and female angels that get together and have cherubs.
Right.
They don't. That doesn't the way that works. So anyway, there are angels. If you could go, and I did a lot of research on it. There are all kinds of bits and pieces, and all kinds of angels in various religions and such. And so I took all that and I put the character into a world where Mychal becomes a guardian angel to this family in Brooklyn.
Of course, because they need all the help they can get.
That's right. And so, in this situation, Mychal again is this family has a religious gift shop in Brooklyn, and across the street from it, that shop is the 1717 Club, where the mobsters all gather. And that is actually what happened in my neighborhood, because my folks had a religious gift shop. Right across the street from us on 86th Street was the 1717 Club, where the mobsters would come. Friday nights would be girlfriends, and Saturdays with the wives. Yeah. And it was a club.
Yeah, I think back in the day, it's like all our neighborhoods had that, because even my father was telling me stories about the exact same thing.
Yeah. Well, I was in Bensonhurst. Okay, so Bensonhurst, that Joe Colombo had his real estate agency 2 blocks away from us. You know, I mean, this is the whole thing. So I'm from that area, so I'm bringing all those elements together. You've got mobsters, you've got demons. I mean, basically, the 1717 Club is like the cross between The Sopranos and From Dusk Till Dawn.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah. Now, the thing. Okay. So the thing is, what I like about your angel research is how you show Mychal originating as a celestial angel. You know, and it's like, because a lot of people think like angels are, you know, like beautiful people, and it's like, no, there's a reason why whenever angels you come across angels in the Bible, they say be not afraid, because the eyes and the wings, they look more like Guillermo del Toro designed them rather than, you know. So I really like the fact that that's how Mychal starts off, as that celestial being. So now the thing is that, so what is like the I guess so what kind of book is this? Like because I know you have Snuffy and Zoe, which are your children's books. You have Mega Moose, right? So where does Bloodwing Angel fit in your realm here?
It's basically, it's like an old it's heavy metal magazine style with R. Crumb of 1960s underground, you know, sensitivity of storytelling. You know, I mix those two together: heavy metal and R. Crumb, head shops and rock and roll. And I'm not going to censor myself, other than in good taste. I mean, that's my good taste, but the fact of the matter is that I'm not trying to be crude, but I'm not going to be skittish. I will, if you notice, I do full frontal nudity for Mychal, because how do you play that?
Right. Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's silly. It's mature. It's mature. It's for people who are not going to say, "Ooh, he's got a wee-wee," you know. You know, go ahead. But also, I'm not playing up the boobs and guns.
Right.
And so it's like there's nothing there that you haven't seen in a museum,
right,
or in any classical piece, you know, from Greek and Roman art.
Right. Yeah, because that's always I mean, it was something that I've come across too when I decided to mark my book as mature readers as well. It is the fact that, you know, people, how do you deal with people who ask, well, why don't you just take that out? Why do you need that there?
Why do I don't read it?
You know? Okay,
right.
There you go. There you go.
There you go.
Read it.
I love that.
You know, I mean, I'm not doing Mouse.
Right.
Okay. If you try to take one thing out of Mouse, then you are really pro-Nazi.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Which is I think something like that's happening right now.
Oh yeah, in Tennessee.
Yeah, it's going on right now.
Yeah.
It's like,
you know, and but it's that way all the time. We've always had a strong Nazi contingency, you know, here in the United States. You know, that's basically true. You know, so but anyway, but the thing about it is that I'm doing for mature, you know, people. We're talking about betrayal. I mean, what is right? The whole thing with Bloodwing Angel is, now that the universe has been ripped apart and restitched together in a way that it wasn't before, you have to come to terms of what is truth, what is lie, what is righteous, what is not, what is crime, what is, you know, what is the law, what is the right thing to do. Now, Mychal has to deal with, because Mychal is coming into that knowing the purity of good and evil, okay? And he's into this into the world of, well, you know what? You know, in the religious gift shop, they sell chalices, ciboriums, priest vestments, and human sacrificial daggers. You know, I mean, because
they don't discriminate.
No, literally, I have that on. There's a display in one of the you see the front door, the storefront, and you see sacrificial daggers special this week. So we're talking about what is. So Mychal then also is dealing with being both male and female. So how does Mychal feel as both sides, gets attracted to both men and women? How does a person react? I mean, what side is going to happen, at that moment? What element of it? So this is what it's all. And I wanted to be able to have that kind of stuff. It's not just about, Mychal doesn't have a flaming sword. It's a flaming arm as an angel, but now because it's a semi-mortal, it can only do a flaming finger, and then maybe a fist at the most, but it's still a flaming finger, And there are various things that Mychal can no longer do because of being a semi-mortal. But there's a lot of play with that. There's a lot of action. There's a lot of stuff going on. But it's also character. How does Mychal interact with things, with humans?
Yeah. So this morning we were talking about being passionate about our own characters and our own work. And like I said, and as I said this morning, it's like I really do. I can't relate to people who look at all the work that they do as product, as opposed to a passion. And the fact that you decided to choose, like in a landscape, and I've mentioned this before, in a landscape that that seems to be filled with campaigns for product, what made you decide that this was the story you wanted to tell?
Because I'm telling my story.
I mean, it's really that simple, that it's like, it's the story you want to tell because this is the story you want to tell.
There's a story I want to tell. I mean, I've gone through that period of time where I self-published crime fiction novels. Okay, got on at least the Cincinnati bestseller list for a day. That was fine. But that was back in the 90s. The 2000, and the thing about it is that I'm not. I know I'm not. I'm too old to play around with stuff. I don't need to. I'm not trying to make a living off of this. Right. So therefore, I have the luxury of saying, I'm going to do this story. I'm going to write these books. And this is what I'm going to say without someone else telling me you can't do that. I have the luxury. Make it, take use of it. I mean, why waste my time? I mean, I've only got another 25 years left.
I mean, we try not to think about that, but yeah, we do, don't we?
Yeah. Let's place it. Let's say it. I mean, let's put it this way, though. Right now, I'm in very good health, and having been an animator, the industry has a tendency to have people go on for quite a while. So as long as I do what I enjoy doing, and healthy, then that's going to keep me going.
Right.
And so therefore, I'll just keep on going. I mean, I have plenty of stuff, right? Just for the story arc I have right now, I'm good for another 5 years.
So is that because is the story meant to go that long, or it has the possibility to go that long?
It's meant to go longer.
Right.
Because right now that's what I've scripted. I've got enough. I've got enough. What I did was, when I took the comic book, when I took the graphic novel, or rather the novella, I developed it with an idea of turning it into a TV series.
Okay.
So when you start generating those things, but what I'm working on right now is a script, a completed script of the first episode, the pilot episode. I've got ideas for another, it goes on for that first season for another 6 episodes, and then I've got ideas for another season. So I do have a lot just for what I've got that I've already just scripted. I could go for 10 years.
So Mychal's going to have you busy for a while.
Yes, because Mychal starts getting involved with the gangsters. Mychal switches sides. He plays both sides because Mychal is the pawn between in the game of gods. They're playing back and forth, and so Mychal starts playing both sides against each other, and Mychal learns how to do that, and that means going into the dark side and then coming back. But as you read the legend, you'll say, my angels can go in, become more righteous, and then lose it, and then go back down to the darkness, and then coming back and forth. Angels are both animals and humans, both male and female, going through all of these various things. So there's a wide world of stuff I can play with. That's why I've done this. So that I don't feel I'm compelled. I gotta stay within these parameters. The box hasn't been built yet for me that I need to stay in.
So what's the big? Did Mychal or the story change that much from the prose version to the comic book version?
I just added more in terms of it was purely from Mychal's point of view in the prose, and I didn't. I just did it from a first person point of view, and it came to an end where Mychal has decided to become the guardian angel. That was a novella. It's only like 20 to 25,000 words, so it was just through that. But you did get to see, some of the 1 or 2 of the characters from the Club 1717. You had that, but when I did the comic, when I did the TV script, I added in a whole other realm of the characters in there, plus the other politicians, in that element. So yeah, there's a lot that was developed and just kept on growing from there.
I mean, so what is it? What is like the one working on Bloodwing Angel? Like, what is I don't know, what is like the main thing that stokes your passion for it? That keeps you going on this, that keeps you going on this, right? That wants you to that makes you want to spend another 10 years on this project.
Well, first off, I like Mychal. I like the world that I've created because no one told me I couldn't do it. I like the wide open spaces of the concept. I like the fact that I don't have to place something in front of a board to say, yeah, you could do this. No, you can't do that. And I really think at this point, I know I don't have much of an audience or a group, but the whole idea is to say, I'm not going to censor myself. So therefore, I'm not going to be wishy-washy about it, or I'm not going to pander to anybody. And I'm not going to, downplay anybody. I'm just going to be trying to make my characters as human as possible. And it's really all about interaction. And that's what gets me going, because I like I can do action, I can do character in my animation. I've shown that. I've shown I can do all of that. And I've shown that I could do personalities but it's plot driven by character, because the plot comes from one character in conflict with another character, and what are they learning and what are they doing? What's going on inside? Are they growing? Now characters don't have to don't have to develop so that it becomes something completely different, but there is still an essence of that character that remains the same. It could be tempered, and then the character could fall back. I mean, humans are that way. They're not consistent, but yet who they are from the time they were 5 years old. They're basically what you learned in what the person was in kindergarten or in the first grade. That's what they were like on the in business. So anyway, yeah, that's what stokes me is being able to do all this stuff and draw it.
Right. Is there something that you're with the series that you're really, really looking forward to getting to, or is it just the whole process?
The whole process. You got to enjoy the process. If you don't enjoy the process and get into the zone, what are your goals then? I mean, my goal is to enjoy each day working on it, and it doesn't have to be a high. I mean, I enjoyed, the feeling of accomplishment, that the cutting and pasting of those two scripts, because basically, for our audience here, what I did today was basically I was cutting and pasting the two scripts, two versions of. Let me see if I can get one here. Just to show you how. Okay, here. This is the prose version. This is the script version from that. So I'm not combining the two now into basically a beat sheet here. What I'm going to do now, that is a comic book page, and that's what's going to be happening in that page. So that's I did that together for this next book, and so I enjoyed doing that. I still got another 2 to 3 times that amount to cut out of the first episode. So that's like I've got basically another 2 books on top of that. So there'll be 5 books just for that one episode.
So are you planning on putting out a trade at some point?
Yeah. When there is enough, the trade is going to have to be coming to the end of that episode, that story arc, because it doesn't make sense not to do that. So, but each one of these books are in the neighborhood of 40 to 48 pages of story, of new story, not just catch up or any of that. So you're talking about maybe about 200 pages to do a trade paperback.
Mm-hmm.
But
right now you're on like volume 2 or
volume 2 is coming out. This is I'm working on book 3.
Right.
On this next one.
But the Kickstarter is for 1 and 2, but for book 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And how many days do you have left on that campaign?
I think I've got. I think it's done. It finishes on early the 9th.
Oh, okay.
Let me see what have I got.
Well, the link the link to the campaign will be in the show notes for everybody to check out.
Yeah.
So John, like I said, I mean, we could go on for hours talking about this, but really quick though, is there a possibility to get a copy of that prose story? Or is that something you kind of like, oh, that's kind of in the past?
It's available on Amazon.
There you go. Okay.
It's a Kindle book, it's up there. It's called Bloodwing Angel.
Okay, so I will. So Nita. So I guess like we'll put a link to that.
Yeah. We'll do that. We'll look it up. It's on Amazon. It's on.
Yeah, just send me the link and I'll add it to the show notes.
Right.
Okay, and you can also get 2 of the crime fiction novels as ebooks. that was about the Newport, Kentucky, historical crime fiction of the 1940s.
Any links you want to add, John? Private message them to me, and
Yeah, I could do that. Well, I'd have to look it up and whatnot.
Sure.
Get in touch, man.
Yeah. But like I said, we could go on for hours talking different aspects of the creative process.
Oh yeah.
But unfortunately, we just have an hour, and some of us have to go to bed soon. So.
Yes, absolutely.
So, I've got a hot date.
Right. So, as always, it's a joy speaking to you, John. And definitely we need to do this again.
Yes.
And I hope everybody in the audience is just as awed with finding out how much a part of their childhood you really are. And before we go, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you?
Well, Google me as John Celestri. I am on. I do. If you've got Facebook, I do mostly. Pretty much you could see my stuff on private. It's on public. But on Instagram, I hardly do anything. It's Twitter and on YouTube. I have my YouTube channel where I do a lot of instructional videos, and I think I've got maybe about 20 of them for animation and comic book work, art, storytelling, elements, animation, as I said, timing, and how to draw figures and things of that sort, as an animator would. So
from an actual animator, not someone pretending doing animation in theory. So here we are at the end of all things, or at least just at the end of this hour. I want to thank everybody for joining us and interacting in the chat, and and just watching to the end here, because like I said, how could you not with John on here? So again, my name is Daphne Lage, and you can head on over to my main portfolio site at egoworks.com, EGOWRKS, where you can find links to all of my galleries and social media sites. But I mostly post to Facebook if you're into seeing sketches and current work in progress updates, and of course here on YouTube for my videos. And I'm trying to get back to semi-weekly art streams, so we'll see about that. You can also read the first 5 issues of Ego Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, in its original black and white format. But if you prefer your fantasy to be more of a Lord of the Rings adventure, you can follow the link to Tall Tales, TAILSonline.com, and read the first 20 issues of Tall Tales for free. And while you're there, don't forget to sign up for a monthly newsletter, because we have a full year of campaigns coming up, and you don't want to miss a thing. So, Miss Nita, where can everybody find you?
I can be found all over social media as Nita Lanning, or Creating Chaos on Twitter at C_chaos247. And of course, you can always get in touch with Ragin AVC for any of our services at raginavc.com.
So so thank you again, everybody. Keep an eye on our feeds on Twitter and Facebook to find out who our next guests will be, and not to miss another Ragin episode. And also make sure to catch us Mondays through Fridays at 11 a.m. where we do the Ragin vlog, where it's me, Nita, and Meredith talking about everything and nothing. And maybe some educational stuff in between, so there's plenty of you there's plenty for you to watch. So again, thank you, everybody, because I can't thank everybody enough, because share the love here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share out this video to people who would love to see it, and everything else that makes the algorithm gods happy. Right. So on that note, thank you again, and good night. We'll see you all on the next interview, I guess.
Good night.
Good night, guys.
Hey there, this is Meredith Loughran with Ragin. And I wanted to let you know that we encourage and promote independent creators and their projects through organic interaction, consultations, and more. Visit Nita and me at RaginAVC.com for details and contact information.